affidavits are going to crush it in disputing for you in 2026. Watch what I'm saying. Now, in this video, I'm even going to show you how I construct my affidavits of fact and truth to crush the creditors when they're inaccurately reporting it. I don't care if it's a charged off account that you actually owe the money on. See, we're not even going that route. We're not saying it's not yours, or we're not asking them to verify it. We're coming at them with Metro 2, Fair Credit Reporting Act, and the facts to get things removed off your credit report. With affidavits, it doesn't matter about whether it's yours or not, or whether you owe the money is. What matters is that, is the creditor abiding by the law? Are they reporting accurately on you? And if not, can you prove it? So let's get into this, guys. I'm going to show you real quick exactly what I do and how affidavits, if you get this, it's going to crush your disputing process for you in 2026. So guys, in case you didn't know, an affidavit of fact and truth is legally binding in the courts. Now, you swear that your statement is true, and if you lie, you can be charged with perjury. So you don't want to go lying, on stuff. That's why I say state facts. And the affidavit can be used as evidence in the court of law. Now, especially in civil and like arbitration and credit disputes, affidavits carry weight. Now, they're often stronger than regular letters, and I will tell you they are stronger than regular letters. This is just why you hear me talking about it and encouraging you guys to use them more often. So the affidavit of fact and truth shifts the burden of proof. Once you submit an affidavit, it puts the pressure on the other party to prove that you're wrong. But with documentation, they have to have something to back up their claims, contracts or other evidence. You can't refute what's clearly on a credit report. If you reported it, you reported it. It's out there, And the other thing is, courts treat notarized affidavits like testimony, because truly they are. It's your testimony. Unless the opposing party challenges your affidavit with equal or greater evidence, unrebutted affidavits stand as legal facts. Okay, so there you have it. That's the little quick spiel on what affidavits are. What I'm going to be showing you here is an affidavit of fact and truth, but it's also a little more. It's an affidavit of fact and truth / intent to sue. And this is just one type of affidavit that I would do. It's one that I do use very often as far as like the format and the style and everything. You'll see this a lot. So the affidavit of fact and truth, and it says with notice of intent to sue, because we are putting them on notice that this is what we're going to do. Why? Because we have that much supporting documentation against them. So on the affidavit, you'll see the plaintiff versus, let's say, Goldman Sachs Bank. I'm sending this affidavit to their chief compliance officer. So you can see that I have the name and the address on it. Now, to the right, you'll see where it says case number. If I don't have a case number, I'll just put to be announced. Pleading title, you can put what the pleading title is here if you have one. If not, you can even take that off. All right, so down a little bit. Now, reason, let's see, Goldman Sachs Bank illegally reported a trade line. We're not saying that the trade line is not yours. It's illegal reporting in the trade line is what we're saying. So anything that's not 100% accurate and complete is fraudulent misrepresentation, especially after you've done told them at least one time and showed them, hey, this is wrong. So this affidavit, this particular affidavit, is not one that we're doing on the first round. This is like a second or maybe a third round one. Okay. So, all right. So you'll say something like, the undersigned, a natural person and consumer residing within the jurisdiction of the United States, solemnly affirm and state the following under penalty of perjury based upon firsthand knowledge and belief and public record. All right. And so here is where I'm going to start just cutting them down with all of the discrepancies that they are doing. So identity of disputed item. So this is what this is basically me saying what I am disputing here and a little bit of how it's reporting. So you're going to want to put some of the meat and potatoes of the account here. You can already see some discrepancies here. All right, so going down, you're going to start to see where I'm going to start to go in as far as the discrepancies and stuff. All right. So, and still, this is like some of the reporting here where it says account rating and stuff. So we're going down to section 2 where I'm starting to hone in on what the problem is. So violation of federal law, Fair Credit Reporting Act law. So you see here, this is the law title, failure to assure maximum possible responsibility. The credit bureaus report inconsistency in. Now, we're saying the credit bureaus because the credit bureaus don't get this information from anybody but Goldman Sachs, okay? So that's the data furnisher. Why am I getting so close to this thing like I'm talking to you like in person? Okay, anyways. All right, so here we're talking about the high balance here. So the high balance, we're saying TransUnion shows this amount, Equifax shows this amount, and Experian shows another amount. All right. Date of last activity varies across all credit reporting agencies. Late payment history, TransUnion shows no late history. Experian and Equifax show months of escalating delinquencies, including a 150-day late. So violation, reporting materially different data about the same account across CRAs constitutes failure to ensure maximum possible accuracy. Okay? We're just pointing out the facts, the fact and truth. All right. So secondly, here we have, here's the Fair Credit Reporting Act law violation, furnishing inaccurate and incomplete information. GS Bank furnished conflicting data to CRAs, including differences in high balance, date of last activity, and payment history. TransUnion shows no lates, while Equifax and Experian reports numerous delinquencies. Violation knowingly furnishing inconsistent data consists furnishing inaccurate, incomplete information. You cannot defute this law, especially if it's blatantly on the credit report. It's no rebuttal. It's a win. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I get excited about my credit reports, and when I'm doing my thing, it's my zhush. All right. So I'm not going to read through this whole thing for you, but you have a good and complete idea about where I'm going and what these affidavits should consist of. So make sure that you know your FCRA, Metro 2, however you're going at them, so you can actually dispute in this kind of an in-depth way. Now, if this is something that they reinserted, these are all the FCRA laws that they've broken. Now we're going to go take it a step even further, guys, and we're going to hit them with Metro 2 and CBIA violations. All right. You know, I don't miss a chance to not use Metro 2 when I'm combining. All right. So missing date of first delinquency, field 25, base segment, DOF. D is missing across all bureaus. It is mandatory for charge-off accounts. You can't fight that, guys. You can't fight that. Violation, absence of DOFD violates Metro 2 formatting standards and FCRA data aging requirements. All right, guys, let me read you like a little more. All right, compliance condition code. Field 17A, the proper code XB is not used despite this account being disputed. So that is a required field. Okay, failure to code XB for a disputed trade line violates Metro 2 and CBIA requirements. Payment history, field 28. TransUnion reports no payment history. Equifax and Experian report months of delinquencies, blah, blah, blah. Violation, here's your violation, your Metro 2 codes. So let's see how many we got here. We got a lot of stuff on them, guys. Like we have like 5 different Metro 2 discrepancy violations here. And it looks like we have 5 FCRAs here, okay? So we're doing good with calling them on their stuff. That's 10 different things that they have to answer to. That's 10 truths that we can prove just by a simple credit report. That's it. All right, so all right, legal demand and notice of intent to litigate. A consumer entitled to protection under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, I hereby demand the following: immediate deletion, written confirmation, copies of all documentation used to verify the reported, confirmation of data furnishers. Literally, you could ask for whatever you want to ask for, but most of the time people just want it deleted off their credit report. So your list of demands or your list of demands, but make sure that they're realistic and they go along with laws and everything. If no action is taken within the time frame provided, I reserve the right to pursue legal remedies, including but not limited to. All right. And I like to always CC certain authorities in my affidavits and some of my dispute letters as well. So I'll CC CFPB. Let's see who else I have here. Federal Trade Commission. And because this is fraudulent misrepresentation, okay, the Office of the Controller of the Currency, the OCC. Anytime we're dealing with any banks, we can always file complaints with them as well. FDIC too. This bank was in New York, so we're the New York State Department of Financial Services. And don't forget your affirmation, get it notarized, get it signed and notarized, and bam. Like down here, you can even list like what your exhibits are too. I forgot to add that in on this one. So exhibit A could be the credit report. Exhibit B could be, just whatever it is that you have, your supporting documentation. So the best way to dispute this is with the affidavit, but you can also send along your supporting documentation, which is going to be your credit report, right? And don't send in a smart credit identity IQ or anything. Don't send it any third parties. Go directly to the horse's mouth to get the credit reports, Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. But I always like to tell people to just go to annualcreditreport.com and pull your 3 reports. Take you like a little red pen or highlighter or whatever. I like red. And just mark off all the discrepancies that you're actually calling out in your affidavit. And I promise you, send that baby in. You can send it in 3 different ways. You can upload through complaint via CFPB. You can also send it out in mail, of course. File complaints with the OCC. Like since you CC'd them, make sure you file complaints with everyone that you've CC'd in, so you can have like the receipt or the confirmation email and attach that along with all of that to send it into that compliance manager. Guys, the compliance manager's job is to make sure that the company does get sued. When you hit them with all these truths that they cannot rebuttal, what do you think you're going to get, guys? So let's get it. 2022, let's get these things off our credit report so we can move on. I mean, it's already hard enough out here with inflation and all this other stuff going on. We don't need credit to be another stumbling block in our way, guys. So I hope this video helped you. If you are interested in a mentorship with me, Tina Talks Credit, please feel free to visit us at our website, tinatalkscredit.com, to schedule a mentorship where I share you everything, I spill everything, and will help you do anything. If you are interested in further education with learning credit repair, please feel free to visit us at disputechamps.org. We also have a Dispute Champs community that's growing. And also we're happy to take you on as a client as well. So any kind of way that we can help you, we try to have something for everybody here. So until the next video, guys, we will talk soon. Bye.